situated a few miles from Grange, is Lough Gur. Lough Gur is one of Ireland's most enchanting locations. Known as one of the 4 entrances to Tirnanog, Lough Gur is a key place to learn a lot about our heritage. To learn more, we spoke to Anya Barry.
So I'm Anya Barry and I'm the chairperson of Lough Gur Development Cooperative Society.
The lough is well known for its fairy trail.
So Lough Gur is known as the home of the fairies, and Knockfennel, the large hill that you walk in, is meant to be a hollow hill where the fairies reside. There's also loads of legends about the fairies in the book The Farm by Lough Gur, which is on sale on the Heritage Centre, and we wanted to make the fairies as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. So we decided we would look at developing a fairy trail here to try and get more people to come out into the area and increase tourist numbers. So we have a local artist here called Bobby Ryan, who grew up in the area and would be very much at one, if you like, with the whole mythical nature of Lough Gur. And Bobby did some painting of rocks and little houses all the way up along. There's 100 steps to get to the top to the fairy village, and along the way you'll see little fairy houses painted into the rocks on the side of the path. When you get to the top, then you have to go through a willow tunnel which brings you into the fairy village. And in the fairy village there are 3 silver fairies up in the trees, so people need to look up for at the fairy village. Then there are also painted trees, there are painted rocks, there are little fairy houses and that scattered around the place that the children have to explore. I just think it's fascinating when I go up there, because children leave little presents for the fairies outside the fairy doors. You know, it might be little flowers or little gifts that they leave there.
The area is very enchanting.
About 2 years ago, when we decided to establish the fairy trail, we got in touch with a local woodsmith in hospital called Will Fogarty, and we commissioned him to build a piece for Queen Anya's castle, and that's the castle that's outside the Heritage Centre here. We also asked him to build a throne to the left here, and that's known as Fairfee's throne, and Fairfee is the king of the fairies, and he apparently resides in Knockfennel in the Hollow Hill.
The views that can be seen are very representative of the beauty of the lough. Lough Gur is also home to the Stone Circle.
So the Stone Circle in Grange is Ireland's largest and I believe finest stone circle. It is comprised of a bank, and in front of the bank there are 113 stones which are arranged in a perfect circle. What's different about the Stone Circle in Grange from other stone circles in Ireland is that the stones are contiguous, or that they are touching one another. Okay, in most other stone circles the stones are separate.
No visit to Lough Gur would be complete without a trip to Temple Nua, also known as New Church Lough Gur. The church is one of the key centrepieces of Lough Gur, dating back to the 1600s.
New Church is a medieval church, and we know that it was in use in 1679 because the chalice and paten which are on display in the Heritage Centre in Lough Gur are inscribed as the gift of Rachel, Countess Dowager of Bath, to her chapel at Ease, Lough Gur, 1679. Now it's called New Church or Temple Nua because we believe it because it was the new religion. It was actually a Protestant church, it wasn't a Catholic church. And after King Henry VIII declared himself High King of Ireland and England, he confiscated a lot of lands from Irish lords who wouldn't swear allegiance to him. And because they were from England, in the main they were Protestants. And the castle here in Lough Gur, which was called Lough Gur Castle, was granted to Sir George Boucher and became known as Boucher's Castle. and they actually wanted somewhere to practice their religion, so they built a new church over there on the road between Holy Cross and Lough Gur. Now, the church itself is a mixture of Gothic and Romanesque architecture. There are Catholics buried in the graveyard, and any Protestants then are buried within the church walls themselves. And in around about 1918, 1919, the church was in a state of disrepair and the roof was gone totally. And Count de Salis, who was the local landlord, was in Italy at the time and saw a church of similar size and shape being demolished, and it had a copper roof. So he organised for the roof to be shipped back to Ireland. Unfortunately for us, it was around the time of World War I, and the ship carrying the copper roof was torpedoed, so the lovely copper roof is now at the bottom of the ocean.
It is very easy to spend a lot of time at the lough in all its melancholy. There are a lot of things to see and do here.
I've had people coming up here and they just say that they could be here for forever. They spend so much time here.
People can dress like times of long ago as part of the activities. The museum is full of artifacts of ancient times. From the Neolithic age to the Bronze Age.
The most important thing in Lough Gur from the Bronze Age is the bronze shield of Lough Gur. Originally, Lough Gur was a complete circle around Knockadune, and then in 1847 there was a famine relief scheme put in place where a channel was dug at the northeast corner of the lake, which lowered the level of the lake. And that led us to find all around the edges of the lake was a treasure trove of archaeological artefacts, which leads us to believe that our ancestors, Neolithic and Bronze Age people, would throw things into the lake as an offering to their gods. And in what's now called the Small Lake or the Boggy area, the bronze shield of Lough Gur was found in 1872. The bronze shield itself was originally made maybe 700 BC, and it was never meant as a defensive weapon because the metal is quite thin on it. It was probably worn by the chieftain on great occasions. He would have worn it over his back, and you know, locally it's called the sun shield of Lough Gur because it resembled the sun, this beautiful glowing bronze disc on the chieftain's back.
The Lough Gur experience is like no other, full of heritage.
You need to come here to experience it. It doesn't matter if you're into history or if you're into archaeology. You don't need to be into history and archaeology to come down here because there's so much more here. We're a nature reserve, so like you see the birds here. I mean, on a spring day out here, to listen to the birds, I just think it gives you again that feeling of relaxation, and we're all so busy nowadays. We need to get out and get back into nature more, and Lough Gur is an ideal place for that. I mean, you bring the kids here, they picnic, we've got the fairy trail. We've also, this year now, we've planted the all 22 native Irish tree species. There are only 22 native trees in Ireland, and we've planted them around here, and there's a tree trail, so you can bring your children out here, you can take them around, they can explore the trees, they can learn a bit more about the nature themselves. Well, I really firmly believe that it's so magical here. So once you come down here, I think you will be coming back again. It won't be just a one-off visit. And if you look at the reviews on TripAdvisor, you will see that people love it. They really recommend to come down here.